Hi, everyone. It's a lovely day. Um, you've got, well, no, never mind. So today I had to go pay my water bill, and every time I go in there, there's like a wall of the sex offenders that live in my area. And I got to thinking when I was looking at those, I said, these don't really tell me anything. They'll say like second degree sexual assault, or whatever. And honestly, I don't care to like look up what each of those things is. No. What I need to know when I'm looking at these sheets of paper with these sex offenders on is who is the victim. Like it needs to say like rape of a 8-year-old boy, girl, or 20 counts of child molestation, Um, and given my history, when I was 13, I often told guys I was older than I was. So there are quite a few people that I dated that had I slept with them and had my parents found out, they would have to be registered sex offenders. So I'm looking at all these on the wall and going, well, how many of these are guys who made a mistake? You know, how many of them are actually a threat? Like what did they do? Do I need to worry about them for me, or do I need to worry about my kids for them? Is this somebody who got drunk and made a bunch of really bad decisions and now chooses not to drink, not to do drugs? You don't know that about those people. So I think that when they do that, it shouldn't say, second degree sexual assault. It should say sexual assault on a minor under 13, under 18, like between 13 and 18, because it's a different demographic and it's a different type of predator. Um, because people who are going to continue to be sex offenders, they have a preferential victim. And I think it's important to know, you know, who's their preferential victim. Like if their preferential victim is 17-year-old guys, he's not a threat to me. He's just a threat to my kid when my kid's older, or my boy, I mean, there's preferential. And then there's, okay, how many times has he been in trouble for this? Was this a one time thing that this person got caught for? Now, obviously, child molesters, people that their preference is children that look like children. Um, that's somebody who's sick, and it's probably not a one time thing. Uh, People caught with child pornography are sick, and that can evolve. That's a given. But you take any person that's convicted of rape, it could be statutory rape, it could be an actual violent assault. Was this somebody he knew? Was he at a party? There sometimes there's circumstances that don't make it right, but it's kind of like um, a, an officer told me this once. Thievery. Some people don't go out of their way to steal. They won't. They're not thieves in general. But sometimes the opportunity presents itself, and that person is weak at that moment, and they commit a crime of opportunity. So, you have to look at also with some of these sex offenders, was it an opportunity crime? Like, was everything in place to where maybe they thought they had consent, maybe their thinking wasn't right? Doesn't make it right, doesn't make the crime less of a crime. It's still a crime. But is it Is it something that you're like, well, we don't think that this was caused by some fault, like, somebody who can't take rejection? Um, because there's a lot of crazy people, but there are people that make a mistake. It's kind of like I always used to say about the Michael Jackson thing. If somebody accused me of molesting children, I would make sure that conditions were never left up for that accusation to come up, you know, because I wouldn't want to be, if I got accused of that, that's like a horrible thing to be accused of, especially if you're not guilty. So you would take precautions to make sure that the suspicions could never, you'd make sure that there was lots of people around that could vouch for nothing untoward happened. And I think that that's how a lot of people are when they commit an opportunity crime or a crime of, shall we say, a crime committed when you're on drugs or inebriated, when your thought process isn't quite right, or when you're in a mental break, or you got some kind of shit going on. I mean, yes, the potential is always there. If a dog bites, you can't prove he'll never bite again. But anyway, this needs to be on these sheets that they print up that tell you, you know, or, maybe have levels and let the community know what the level is. Um, if you're not going to lock them up forever. Because I mean, sometimes there's people, it's like, you know what? They need to spend the rest of their lives in a facility, if not locked up. Because you cannot cure addictions and compulsions and stuff like that. You can try your best. But, if you're an alcoholic and you fall off the wagon, you really only hurt yourself. If you're a pedophile and you fall off the wagon, that's a big deal. So, you kind of want to keep track of those. But, maybe if they had like some kind of level system where you could say, okay, a level one, that's somebody who only has one charge, not particularly a big threat. It was something that happened that probably wouldn't have happened again in hindsight, or it was something that was odd, you know. Um, then maybe level two, that might be like your flashers and peeping. Well, no, I guess level one would be like flashers and peeping toms, and people who get caught for exhibition, because those are on there too. They might never touch anybody. They just like to flash people, and I mean, really and truly, I mean, it's a penis or a vagina if it's a girl, you know. And then maybe level two would be the people who were charged with like an act that harmed somebody, physically harmed somebody, and mentally. Um, let's not rule that out. And then like a level three would be, you know, your uh, people that go after teenagers, young adults that, look like adults somewhat, but they're mentally malleable. Um, they can be groomed. And then you'd have like level four would be the pedophiles, the actual ones that harm children or that have a sexual desire for children. You might even put like the child pornography people on that, not even though they've never actually even if all they've got is the porn and have not actually done anything other than getting caught with it. You say, well, hey, they're at risk, because that's one that's really like an at risk behavior. But I was just looking at that and going, it doesn't really matter the scale of violence of a person, And then of course, you would have your level, what would we get up to? Like level 5, level 6. The highest level would be a repeat offender. Somebody who has served time, come out, did it again, or did it a whole bunch, went to jail, and is now out. You know, there's got to be an easier way of letting people be able to see, hey, this is the type of sex offender this is. This is the level of fear you need to give this person, like, is this person somebody who you just choose not to be alone with, but you don't completely ostracize him, you know? And if it is one of the higher level ones, you might just ostracize him, or but like I said, make sure that there's always a bunch of people around, um, because they are in our society. And, if you can't lock somebody up forever, and like I said, some people, I had a friend, he was 25, he's on the sex offender list because he dated a 15-year-old. Everything was consensual with her, but her parents were not cool about it, so they pressed charges. So when I see his case, that always makes me think that, and then I think of myself, those people should not be put at the same level as somebody who's actually like forced someone to have sex with them, someone who has done bad things. They're just somebody who took advantage, maybe took advantage, maybe not. Nobody was taking advantage of me. I knew what I wanted. I didn't want boys my own age. Was I groomed by some of them? Possibly. If they could have attempted to, but most of the guys that I was after, they weren't trying to raise me or anything like that. So I don't think I was groomed at all. And I don't think that my friend was grooming that girl. That girl was just, she was a partier. And I don't know if he knew she was 15. Don't know if he would have cared because she was all over him. I mean, I've seen girls. I mean, when I was in school, girls 13, 14, 15, just hanging all over like 30-year-old guys, getting drunk and just practically raping the guy. And it's like, he's just a guy. Most of the time, they're not going to ask for ID, And does that make him truly a sex offender if he's not out looking for it? No, he just happens to be in a place where a 15-year-old shouldn't be doing things a 15-year-old shouldn't be doing, and then he gets in trouble for it. It's not really, it is by far not the same thing as somebody who grabs someone and forces themselves on them, or someone who diddles little kids. I mean, it's not the same. And so when I'm looking at those people, that's what I'm always thinking is, why does it have to say this? And because I don't want to look up what third degree assault is, because I don't want to be like seeing them and thinking, oh, that's a third degree sexual assault, or whatever. Of course, I guess I have to worry more about the first degree. If it goes like murder, it's all planned and stuff. Yeah, because I do know first, second, third degree murder. I know those. But hell, we let those people out of prison too. Maybe we ought to have a killer registry. So that dude's a bad motherfucker. He's got first degree murder on his record. But even first degree murder, you might plan to kill somebody. That doesn't mean that person doesn't deserve it. Like, I mean, if somebody hurt my kid and the police didn't do anything about it, or they got away with it, you can bet your ass I'd commit some first degree murder on them. I mean, that's what I'd do. Even though I don't have a mean bone in my body, if I was hurting that bad and felt like they got away with it, you can bet your ass I'd be thinking about ways to kill them. And then the second that I thought about it, that's first degree. Not whether or not you got an actual airtight plan that you follow through with. It's, did you plan it? You can be mad for days, weeks, months, years. You can be pissed. And they won't call it manslaughter if you told somebody what you'd like to do. So, but that's what I was thinking today, was just that they need to figure out a way to make it to where the public knows, like, it's first level, second level, third level, fourth level, fifth level, make it levels to where people know, that's somebody that I really need to watch myself around. I need to know where they, if they're living across the street, I need to watch them. So, anyway, that's my thing for tonight. Good night.